We have Grandmaster Ian Nepomniachtchi going to the game at the Grenke Freestyle Chess 2026. This is the penultimate round, the 8th round of the tournament, and everything is on stake for the last two games. Whoever wins these two games and does well will definitely fight for the top spot. Yan has had a pretty great event here. He's drawn with, by the way, he's taking out the pieces because it's freestyle chess. So he had 4 wins, then drew with Sarana, MVL, Nodirbek, and now he's on 5.5 points out of 7. His opponent in this round, Leon Mendonca, started with 3 wins, then lost to Hans Niemann. There he is. Won against Bennett Hagner, Maxime Lagarde, drew with Duda. So he's also on 5.5 points and is playing quite well. The new position is set up here, and as the players are putting through the pieces, let's have a look at the board. The king and the queen are in the middle. You have rooks next to them. The bishops are here and the knights as well. We did cover a game from this position on our channel. That was Magnus Carlsen versus Nodirbek Yakuboyev. The players shake hands and off we go. C4, if I'm not mistaken, was the move that Yakuboyev had played against Magnus, and that's exactly the move that Yan also plays. Opening up the bishop, the queen can come here. Pawn to c6 by Leon already seems to be a small inaccuracy, because he's trying to play this like Caro-Kann, but f4, opening up the other bishop. White has gained some space. That's the thing about freestyle chess. Space is gained, and you never know when you can get completely crushed. f5, planting the pawn, controlling the e4 square. Knight comes to g3, attacking the pawn on f5 with the bishop and knight. And I guess g6 is a must. He goes g6. e6 would be quite bad, right, to block the bishop. But now the knight is a bit limited in scope. However, it can come out via f7. I love how Yan is playing this. Bishop d4 and e5 has to be played, because if you play knight f7, bishop g7 would trap the rook. So e5, bishop takes, and Leon takes it. fe5, white is already a pawn up, but is it like some sort of a gambit is the question. Oh, there could be a very interesting move here. Queen h4, attacking the h2 pawn, and he finds it. Wow, that's a nice move. And the point is, if you castle here, then there's check and I win the pawn. But yeah, maybe it's a must. He does it. He castles here, defends the h2 pawn, but allows check, and you drop this e5 pawn. Now, king h1 seems like a logical move. There's also e3, by the way. He plays king h1. It does feel like white has very good play because of the development. And bishop c4, by the way, if you take here, could be very dangerous after e3. This bishop can get in trouble. So knight b6, a nice move by Leon. Knight comes to b3, attacking the queen. I think you take the pawn now. It is an important move. He does it. Queen takes e5. Leon fighting hard. And now the c4 pawn under pressure. And you don't want to play a move like d3. I think that's too passive. So c5, pushing the knight away. The knight can go to d5. The knight can go to c4. It goes to c4, attacking the pawn on d2 and b2. Rook comes up to c3. Wow, what a move this is. If you take here, then I move my queen, and then already rook e3 is coming in. So he simply long castles and takes his king away from the e file. High quality chess by both the players. Now rook takes c4 is threatened. The right move, and perhaps the only move here, is d5. And he plays it. d5 defends the knight. If you take en passant, I simply take back with the knight. He plays e3. Okay, stopping maybe f4 ideas. And this knight looks good, but could get trapped potentially. Queen e7. Leon down to 17 minutes on the clock. They've made only 13 moves. Nepo has 48 minutes. Lovely move, knight e2. The knight is eyeing the d4 and f4 squares. He brings his knight into the game. And now knight d4. A very nice move. If you take the pawn now, b3, and you simply lose a piece. So knight to g5 coming in on the e4 square, but b3 to kick the knight away. When two good players play freestyle chess, it actually leads to a very nice struggle like we see here. Knight goes back to e5. And Leon goes pawn b4 and pawn to a6. Maybe just stopping the b5 plan. But a4 played. And now the knight comes into e4. White already has a plan, that is to push the pawn. Black has to remain careful. The knight can jump into c4. Now attacking the d2 pawn. And Ian takes the knight on e4. Bishop takes e4. fe, opening up the rook, offering a trade of rooks. You can already see now the position has stabilized, and you can already start assessing white's minor pieces are better than black's bishop here, which is limited by its own pawn. b5 is coming in and he pushes it. It's a very risky position now. Leon takes c takes b5. Okay, I'm curious what is going to happen next, because you can push a5 now. You can also take the pawn on c5. This knight here is really a good piece. He goes a5. He keeps the position closed. And pawn to c6. A great move by Ian. And b6. Keeping the position closed so that the black king can breathe freely. Rook comes back to b1. Has Leon gotten over the worst days for himself? It seems so. h3. White is slowing down because white is unable to find good plans. And maybe Leon can start pushing his kingside pawns. First he brings his queen in. The g2 point is a bit soft. And now queen to c3 played. And pawn to g5. He's opening up lines. This can get dangerous. Also remember, the bishop can come out from h5. Rook to g1. That's not a move that you would play that inspires confidence. h5. He goes h6. Slightly slow, I must say. But one can understand that black doesn't want to rush. d3. Nepo says, I can't sit here passively. I must do something. So he pushes his pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Taken. And it would be such a dream to get the bishop on the e4 square. If he manages to do that, that would be something. And he brings his queen back to try and get this move in. But with this knight g3, I stop bishop coming here. My knights get active. So perhaps going back was not the best idea. And Nepo, who has 17 minutes, and Leon has only 1 minute. This is 31st move. So Leon plays bishop at 7. And now queen comes back. Queen to e2. All sorts of ideas now. Queen g4, rook f1. White's pieces are getting active. You can see Nepo feeling the energy. He also has 17 more minutes on the clock. He even gets up while his opponent has only a minute here. Leon goes queen e7, hoping that his position can survive this. By the way, e4 looks such a powerful move because takes, the knight is hanging, and if you take bishop e4, I have check. He finds it. e4 is on the board. He takes, now simply check. And he's winning here. Okay, it's not a trivial win. But I think Nepo is calculating this. I think he's seen it. Check, very good move. King b8. And now knight e4. And the main point is, if you take queen e4, he takes it by the way, then queen d7 leads to a forced mate here. So he must take with the pawn. And now rook c1. Again the best move, attacking the knight, threatening c7. Knight goes back, and now instead of c7, maybe queen d7. Oh, he plays c7 bit too soon. But look at the strength of this move. Take, and pawn takes, and this is winning because the knight is coming in. There's no way to defend. This would have been such a powerful blow. But now, knight to c6. Nepo is trying to win this position straight away. Knight d8 check could be an idea. It takes queen takes c7. Had to take, like imagine a4. The queen is hanging, so queen takes c7, knight a5, check, takes, rook takes c7, king takes, and you've lost the queen. But look at this. Black seems to be doing not so poorly. Oh, rook d8. But now just queen takes h6. Wait, rook e8 was the best move. Good or bad, he had to play it. But rook d8, now queen h6. Nepo once again is winning. No, he goes queen d5. But think about it, taking here and then g5 is hanging. He would be better. But king d7, b6 played. Nepo making key errors here, which is what is going to really cost him. Rook b8, queen takes a5, and now king c6. So he's going to lose this pawn. And one of the main issues here is that, king c5. I mean, taking this pawn was also pretty okay. But queen check. And Leon comes back. Leon managing to play on that 1 minute for so long. It's been incredible, the defense. King takes b6. And now queen f6. Pinning the knight. Attacking h6. King here. And king g1 important. Because if you take here, I go e3, then rook e8. And my pawn is really quick. So, rook e8 brings the king to block. e3 check. King comes to e2. And now, yes, you will lose the h6 pawn. But the e3 pawn is just so strong. And the g5 pawn needs to be protected. So rook e5 played. Defending g5 and e3. Queen h7. And knight to b5. Check. King here. Check is coming in. King d5. And now a check. Nepo is actually risking it. e2, but then he loses this knight with a check. So let's not get there. Leon calmly brings his knight back. And he brings his king back in. Check again. And look at that head shake there by Nepo. He knows that he's messed it up. And Leon is, of course, happy with a draw. A draw is agreed. And Nepo is like, maybe I should have just taken queen h6 instead of queen d5. And yeah, he was right there. Right on the ball. There were a couple of moments where he could have won. This queen d5 wasn't good. Queen h6 and he was better. And there was another moment where I think he could have finished it off. And that was instead of playing c7 to play queen d7. This wasn't also a very tough move where you have to take. And now knight c6 and d8 queen. Unstoppable. If you play something like knight b7, I have knight e6, rook g8. And you can slowly grind this out. This is completely winning. Rook c8. And so Nepo missing out a big chance here. He could potentially have moved into 6.5 points out of 8, which would have been huge. But here we are at 6 points. Leon showing his great defensive skills. And in the last round, Leon also won his game, which helped him finish in joint second position with Magnus Carlsen and many other great players. I think for Leon, this should be one of his top performances at top level chess. And we congratulate him for this achievement.